Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another evening with Playwright on our Eek-Out sessions. This evening, we have a story of Iceland cricket. Yes, Kit Harris was here at our stage event in 2018. But tonight, we have two players who were part of the original team. Ragnar Kristinsson, who is an historian by profession, but chooses to do sales for internet companies. And Stefán Pálsson, who's also an historian and was, believe it or not, the curator of the Museum of Electricity in Reykjavik. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Playwright.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for taking your time out. I believe it's been raining a lot in Reykjavik for the last 2 days. The COVID situation hasn't been very good, and your 20-year celebrations have been washed out. Typical of a cricket match, right?
Yeah, that's right. They had organized. They had planned to have a cricket match with us playing against some younger and actually skilled cricketers. So we were terrified. but well.
So you wish the rain got.
If it was raining, we got out of it.
Right. Okay, Ragnar, we start with you. The first question we'd like to hear from you is that great story of 1999 and you're being in London and going to watch the World Cup final.
Yes.
At Australia.
A series of coincidences, I think. But for a few years, I had talked about starting cricket, mainly in the cafeteria at the university.
Okay.
While everyone thought it was I was going to say everyone thought it was a great idea. That might not perhaps be totally true, but everyone found it funny and why not and so on. But we had barriers. For example, it was pre-internet time and no one had really seen a cricket match.
Okay.
There were no books about cricket except the Encyclopedia Britannica, and they were trying, and we tried to read that. We did not get anything after reading that, and so this was pretty much really not going at any rate forward, except. In 1999, I am in London on a holiday with another, and I tell everyone that I was going to see a cricket match in London.
Wow.
And everyone really just laughed and said that was probably never do that, which I wasn't really going to. But by a coincidence, as we came into Heathrow Airport, we noticed that there were a lot of merchandise about cricket selling, mainly because the World Cup in cricket was being held there.
Right.
And we didn't know anything about it, except that we decided one day to go and watch a semi-final at the pub between Australia and South Africa.
Right.
I think went all the way to the wire.
Yes.
Ball, and many considered the best cricket match ever in one day. Yeah. So that was the only thing we ever watched in cricket. And after that, we had no idea that this was a classic match. We just said, well, it's not that bad. And we should actually watch the World Cup final at the pub as well. And we were watching at the pub, what's before lunch. And then we got the idea, why not watch the rest of the match at the pub close to Lord's? And we went to the underground, came up at Lord's, were looking for a pub when all of a sudden we see people, supporters of the Pakistani team, which were losing, approaching us and say, "We can sell you our tickets for $20, £20."
Wow.
And they were leaving because it was over. But we said, why not? So I went in and watched the last 2-3 hours of the match, and came back home and said, well, remember when I said I was going to watch a cricket match in London? I actually went to see the World Cup final.
Wow.
And soon as we watched the World Cup final, we were adamant on playing cricket in Iceland. So we actually went out and bought a kit with a cricket bat, wickets, and a ball for 10 or 20 pounds, something like that.
Only much later did we discover that this was a kit for kids.
Yes.
No wonder you
It didn't look like that.
It's probably for 12-year-olds or something like that, you know. But that was probably a good idea because it had really soft balls, you know, not those nasty hard ones, which would probably have turned us away from the sport, you know, right at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. So immediately after that, a month or so after, we met at the Electrical Museum and founded the cricket club and played on a small match outside on the lawn, which was more of a practice though.
Right.
So the biggest charm of this sport was that no one in Iceland was playing it, so we thought that straight away we would be the best, you know. So we would become Icelandic champions. We would, by definition, become the national team, you know. So, yeah, that was the big motivational point. We could have chosen hockey or even polo if he had some horses around, but cricket it was.
And certainly, after seeing the World Cup, we were sure that the next World Cup would be in the Caribbean or something. And because no one was playing cricket that we knew of, we would probably go straight into the World Cup and have a good time. And we would always bat first, so we would only lose matches 1-4 or 6-0. And the press in Iceland, who would know nothing about it, they would say, "Well, you only lost 1-0 to India. That's not bad."
Right.
So that was the master plan.
Yeah,
Sadly, we heard that there were
several
players, Holland, Ireland, Denmark, and so on that actually knew how to play.
Okay, so that winter, when you started playing cricket in the year 2000, there was this whole Y2K millennium bug happening, and you guys decided that, oh, that's not much of a problem. So you sat down to translate laws of cricket into Icelandic.
Yes.
And I believe you came up with some funny translations where third fine leg became picturesque leg and things like that happened. Please tell us that.
Yes. Ole Maiden over was, I think, to how would you translate it, Stefán?
We translated it far too literally. Yeah. So the thing is that it's a rich history, tradition in Iceland to translate and come up with Icelandic terms instead of sticking to the foreign words. So we went for that straight away, partly because that was good to do during the winter. But having very little knowledge of how the game was actually, how it actually worked, we were very much, shooting in the dark with the phrases we came up with. Some of them actually managed to stick and made some sense. Others were really far off afterwards. Yeah.
Right. So which were the very difficult ones that you faced in terms of translating laws?
Well, I think like fine leg and other like the positions, and of course the types of balls being played and the strokes. So
we ended up by taking a lot of terms from, well, both from soccer, but mostly from team handball, which is actually a big sport in Iceland. You've probably never heard of it, but if you can say that Iceland has a national sport, then it's team handball. So we were using words from handball, which is a completely different sport, in so many ways.
So, but it kind of made easy correlation for people to understand them. If you're talking about,
we found it very convincing, at start. But as I said, I think that the terminology has evolved quite a bit, for the last few years.
So I think the golden duck, we call that falcon, and that was just because one of our players has a name that translates as falcon.
Okay.
Yeah. They found it amusing to name the golden duck after him.
Right. So, Stefán, you mentioned that the kit you bought was for kids and it had a softball.
Yes.
What I believe then a few months later you imported a cricket set into Iceland, on which you had to pay 24% duty.
Yes.
The customs, and you please tell us the story of how you tried to evade the duty, and also please tell us what your reaction was on seeing that first cricket leather red ball.
Well, Ragnar probably remembers more about the custom evasion scheme, but what happened soon was that we discovered on the internet that there was a European Cricket Foundation, and we just sent them a letter, letting know that we had put up a little organization over here, but they became livid. They wanted to grab us because they were so ambitious to get more and more countries involved, so they wanted to send us coaches straight away, and we were trying to hold back, and downplay the expectations, but they offered to send us equipment, and we really liked that, especially once we had discovered that we only had a kid toy, sold in the next, petrol station, and then it turned out that the government wanted to tax it heavily here. You remember that, Ragnar? How did we manage to evade that?
Well, we were on the brink of marrying each other. Me and Benedict, as wedding presents are off limits, and we don't pay as much duty on them. But it transpired that the cost of the wedding would exceed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's legal to have.
We really weren't meant for each other as well. So,
a wedding present.
Good, that been so nice.
So you don't have to pay duty of wedding presents.
Yeah, but the European Cricket organization was really helpful, and actually they ended up sending us a cricket teacher, and just so that he had something to do, a friend of one of our team members was actually living in a tiny countryside village in Iceland, and he managed to persuade the sport teacher at the school there to give us his students, as those willful youngsters learning to play cricket. And I'm not sure who was more surprised, the cricket teacher or the alleged cricket playing kids, in this tiny village.
Well, they were quite good. He said that the kids were quite good. Yeah.
So
kids can learn everything.
You get a kit, you get a cricket teacher for free, you get a kit for free. Life was looking good. What happened next?
Well, we had actually, in the meantime, we had played 2 or 3 matches, which we called the Icelandic tournament, Icelandic Championship, and the Cup, Icelandic Cup, and so on. Which, I think we lost to some people who we taught the cricket the day before.
Not our brightest moment or best. This was pretty much it was we held competitions, and we managed to get some people, gave them some brief introduction of the rule, and we played, and this always got a lot of laughs. This got interest from the local press, because who came to the stadium. Interestingly, they never talked about it in the sports sections of the paper. They always treated it as some, funny, quirky thing, saying, there's this odd sport that the British love, cricket. Nobody really understands it, but it's all about being smartly dressed and drink some gin or tea or and eat cucumber sandwiches. So there was a lot of.
To be fair, that was what we told them.
That is actually true. That part we excelled in this part of the cricket culture, not so much in actually being good at this sport, but the words that get out. Internet was growing. Every now and then we would get attention from abroad. Journalists, British journalists, and then we would have groups like stag parties coming over from the UK, which would contact us, say, we are coming over to Reykjavik for partying one weekend. Can we throw up a cricket match, and so forth? And we were happy to oblige. But things were slowly getting out of hand, because we were constantly out of our depth.
We had a lot of interest from the press in the UK as well. So Sky Sports called me and asked, when are you playing the next cricket match? And at that time we had accomplished everything. We were like, well, we're probably not going to play another cricket match. But Sky Sports, they're sending man. So we said, 3 weeks. And then we had to rig up the match.
Okay.
Like ad hoc, and we were just trying to just play things as they came along. And as Stefán said, slowly got out of hand. Slowly we had more and more players that were actually interested in cricket, playing cricket, and training for cricket.
Yeah,
And
that is actually true. There were like expats living in Iceland, or some Icelanders who had gone to school elsewhere and picked up the game. When they heard that there was a small group of people playing cricket, they came around and asked to join, and pretty soon this was out of our league. But before that happened, there was this strange saga of Iceland Express, the airline company.
Yeah, we'll come there in just a minute. Before that, I'd like to touch upon, base upon that you were a motley crew of, beginners, absolutely, but there were two expats who came and started playing. And I read that one of them was of Punjabi origin, Sammy Gill, and the other was Dharmendra Bora, right? And they were quite accomplished, and they brought a semblance of some talent to your team. Tell me a little bit about the expats.
They were far better than we were. And we honestly don't remember how they got in touch, but they came and they were really enthusiastic and helpful. And
I think at least one of them was just driving around in Reykjavik when he suddenly saw some people standing on a grass field playing cricket, and was so surprised that he just stood on in his brakes and almost caused a car accident. He was so shocked. So in many ways you could say that we gave them some platform. We were better we were quite good. We were only good at the political part and the public relation part. We even got accepted at ridiculously fast speed. We got accepted and became part of the National Sports Organization of Iceland.
Yes,
usually that takes years. The reaction of the sport organization when new people come around applying for membership with a new sport, the reaction is, well, come back in a few years' time, when it is clear that this is not a joke or and so forth. And they were probably going to treat us this way until one of our members introduced himself. It turned out that he was the namesake and I think grandchild,
nephew, I think.
Yeah, grandnephew of the founding father of organized sport in Iceland, and the people there, they became so mightily impressed with the idea of having this new organization on board with this namesake of the big hero who they had all the portrait and all the walls of, that we got hastily.
Wow! Talk about lucky breaks. About lucky breaks. Yes. So we come to the story of Iceland Express.
Yes. Well, there was this short-lived low-fare airline company in Iceland who was growing very fast with cheap flights from Iceland all over the place, mostly to the UK. And they had a very active PR department, and they decided that they would make a big event that would get coverage in all the British media about midsummer night cricket in Iceland.
Right.
They flew in a plane full of journalists and people connected with cricket, and actually and oddly the pilot was the
lead singer, Bruce Dickinson, singer of Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson.
Yes, on top of being a brilliant heavy metal singer, he is an active pilot and a cricket enthusiast. So he flew in the plane and he did some battings. There were more famous people involved, wasn't there, Ragnar?
I think Henry Blofeld,
The commentator, Henry
yeah,
Blofeld.
the commentator, came as well.
Okay.
And they were like, that was also among, was not only was it the Iceland Express, but also it was connected to the a bank.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of money involved.
So there was a lot of heavy partying, and they were really good at having the tents with the gin and the fancy clothes. Turned out that the midnight sun match, it really should have taken place in late June, when you have where it's bright all night long. But it happened a bit later, so actually it was too dark to really play cricket. Then they took the whole group up to a local glacier and organized a small cricket event on ice, and so on and on and on. They were good at PR stunts.
Probably the first cricket match ever played on a glacier then.
Yeah, I think so. Although cricket match would be stretching it, but a cricket-related photo opportunity on a glacier, yeah, maybe.
Probably, yes. No, but I think Switzerland cricket has been playing some matches at St. Moritz in the winter, but then it's quite not like Iceland.
Yeah, we were actually joking about that, me and Ragnar, is that probably we would have stood more chance, as cricket players, if we had stuck to playing on ice surface.
Especially if we had wind and snow.
Yeah.
Alongside.
Because, well, if you think about it, the idea of trying to introduce Iceland cricket in Iceland was always very ambitious, given that it's usually windy or wet or both, and the grass surface here is very bumpy and not very flat at all. So, but lately, more recently, and those who are active in the sport today, they, for example, they use the indoor soccer stadiums and play on plastic turfs in the winter. So you can adapt.
Yeah.
So I believe in that cricket match with Iceland Express, Henry Blofeld was the umpire, and Bruce Dickinson probably ended up bowling like 18 wides in an over, and Henry Blofeld could take a sip of his wine while umpiring. There was some story I read about that. Do you guys remember that?
Well, I remember all those wides from Bruce Dickinson, and the other thing probably is true as well. So yeah.
Okay.
And,
right.
But remember he had such a.
And in that during that series of matches, there was some actress who made her debut, becoming the first woman in Iceland to play cricket. I read that somewhere as well. Her name was Anna Sol.
Yes, she played a lot with us.
Right.
Her cricketing career was cut short, I think, when she got the ball in her face at one point.
She was hit in the face, my God. Okay.
Yeah.
How that happened, we're not quite sure, as very few people in Iceland could actually hit the ball at the pace that could hit someone in the face. So probably she was batting, and I think the ball went from her bat into her face.
Yeah.
Which was not that uncommon. We had all sorts of injuries that you might not recognize due to our lack of skills.
Okay.
Yes.
One of the main injuries we encountered, well, while not very severe, but certainly painful, is that our instinct was always, when we were fielding, to stop the ball with our feet. Yeah, and
that's the experience from team handball coming in. You just react by putting out your leg, and then you are in agony.
I mean, certainly a cricket ball to the shin is not a very pleasant experience, and you never learn. You never learn.
Nope.
So why did you guys retire, and did you get a better team in, or did you decide that you were better off, marketing and selling Iceland cricket? How did it work?
I think that we got, especially after all this big Bruce Dickinson saga, we thought that this joke had got a bit out of hand. We got married and had kids and got older, and anyway we were a liability, after more people who had actually learned this from early age or getting involved, and we found it really just impressive, all this enthusiasm of those who are active in this society, this cricket society today. We follow it from afar. We go and see the occasional match. All the time we have foreigners who come in. We like I think only last year we had the authors, a team full of British novelists and academics who came here and did great.
I think Jeffrey Archer was there amongst them, yes?
Yeah, I think so.
I had the field and was opened and by the Prime Minister and the British ambassador.
Yes.
So it was those who came later were more inclined to make it a sport, but they're building up. They had our connection. They had all the equipment.
Right. So,
and knew all had get to know each other while playing cricket with us. So they sort of our job was really just finished as such, and the new era came to life, and which is, I mean, frankly, far exceed anything when we started that Iceland would have.
To be frank, this is not the first interview we have given.
And
we constantly we cannot stress enough how bad we were at playing cricket, but no one seems to believe us. But we were dreadful. But it's just nice that something managed to grow out of this.
You have no videos to show us how dreadful you were? Nobody made a video of it?
I think there was actually no limit. I mean, one of the first competitions. Remember, Ragnar, one of the first competitions we held. I was terribly hungover, and we decided that it was probably best to have me as a wicket keeper, because that was the good rule. A good job for a hangover person who could not be very flexible.
Well,
but that perhaps it gives you an indication of the start of our play.
In Iceland, wicket keeping duties in Iceland are not catching the ball when when it touches the bat. It's usually just run.
I think there's a connection problem with
Down to the
Ragnar.
wide.
Yeah, I think we are slowly and
Yeah.
or probably we are just running out of stories.
No, you're not. I think Ragnar has an internet problem. Right one. Okay, so tell me, how good is the cricket team now? How, if you were to rate yourself as one, where would they be right now? I mean, how much improvement has happened in the national team of Iceland, the cricket teams?
How much better it is. It's like we are not playing the same sport.
No, but how good are the team now?
Well, we don't follow it that closely, but I mean, every now and then we get groups coming over here, and I think that the Icelandic team is doing quite well, given how difficult the circumstances are. It is very, very difficult to get the right weather conditions, for example. I mean, they have to play a lot of the games indoors on plastic turfs, which is not ideal for cricket, we all know. So it's difficult to say. Or we are probably not the best.
And if they have, played a number of internationals against the lesser cricketing nations in Europe, gotten the results.
Yeah.
So they have won 2 matches against other countries, which again was not something that we expected ever to.
But I believe that only about 100, 150 or so.
So I think.
Yeah, I think that around a bit over 100 is I think a good estimate.
100 people. So what? How do you make it more popular in Iceland cricket?
Well, I know that one of the things that they are doing now, which we never really could do, is that they have been offering courses for children, for example. And I know that they have been working with like asylum seekers, very, very ambitious and good program, so they are laying groundwork. And also it was a big event last year when they got this they got this cricket pitch, which they actually there are also some archers. There are some archery teams who use this same surface, but at least now they can play on their own home ground instead of constantly trying to put up something resembling a cricket field for each occasion.
Wow,
that's a huge change. That's a huge change.
But also they are connecting, as you say, to all the expats, the people who are from Southeast India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, the Australia, South Africa, Caribbean. There are more of them in Iceland. Many of them may be asylum seekers, are pretty maybe isolated.
Working here, yeah.
So they all have this place where they can meet. Yeah. So it's a community thing, and I think that is one of the things that helps it grow as much as it does, because it's a lot of people who have something in common. And can meet and do something that they know and enjoy.
Easy to get money or sponsorship or funding for the sport?
Sorry?
Is it easy to get sponsorship or funding for the sport? money?
In generally, it's always difficult to get sponsorships,
For sport,
but
yeah.
they can get a little bit, and because they have this connection and I think, and also
community spirit.
I hope they have gotten something from the sports authorities in Iceland, etc. Because of it is a very good job getting people who are not in the more common sports. They're not practicing those sports, but here they can find something that they're recognized and are good at. So yeah, I think and I hope that they can get some help from the sporting authorities and government.
Right. Okay. So money is a bit of a challenge, I think, for any sport that is breaking out. But where do you see the future of Iceland cricket in the next 10 years? Do you see yourself in a World Cup in 20 years, something like that?
I think our initial hope of having an Icelandic team playing in the World Cup finals, hopefully in the Caribbean, were probably that unrealistic.
But 20 years?
Who knows? But we always there are so many challenges when it comes to the climate, for example. So, but I think if we are still playing, in a few years' time with a healthy bunch of people and having good community spirit around that, occasionally going abroad, playing against the other lesser teams of Europe, we are quite happy with that.
I mean, there are now 3 teams playing.
Yeah.
Which is a great. I mean, when they sort of relaunched it a few years ago, they had 1 team, so it's growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
So
are a lot of women taking to the sport as well? Because women's cricket is becoming quite popular, and it's you have a better opportunity there than women's cricket. Because the gap will be smaller.
I don't see anything that probably could have a women's cricket team as well here.
Yeah, I think there are some women who have exercised with, have trained with these groups. I'm not familiar with there being a formal women's team here, but you must forgive us. We are not always up to date with all the latest developments in this sport. We are the old veterans, sitting on the bench saying, everything was worse when we were young.
Well, you guys could start commentating. You could start commentating on matches and get a PA system and become commentators like Henry Blofeld.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
we were actually going to commentate a little bit during the matches that were supposed to be held today and yesterday.
Right.
So, yeah. Hopefully, it will just be postponed and they will be able to relaunch it. Yeah.
So we may still find a great career as commentators on the sport.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure Sky Sports would be happy to have you.
Yeah.
If Sky Sports wants to have a commentator that are very familiar with the very low level of cricket, that we are at their service.
That doesn't matter, I'm sure. And I'm sure Kit Harris, who helped us put together this evening show, I'm sure he can put in a good word with his connections in BBC and get you guys one spot as a guest commentator, and from there it's all the only way is up, as they say.
The only way is up.
Absolutely.
And that's the career trajectory of any veteran cricketer you see across the world. whether it be from the Caribbean or from Australia or from India or anywhere else, everybody retired.
They're all from the same background. They're all people who know a lot about cricket and played it at the highest level. Yeah, the exact opposite.
Yes.
You guys, you are the guys who wrote the laws of cricket in Icelandic. I mean, who else in the world is that?
That has to count for something.
Yes.
Yes, it has to count. I mean, come on. The world's got to give you the, something for that.
Yeah.
So the world owes it to you, right?
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking to the two of you, the founding fathers of cricket in Iceland. So to say, the guys who wrote the laws, a little like Moses.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to give you all those large, big names and big words. Who are veterans now, looking to commentate, who played with Bruce Dickinson and Henry Blofeld. I don't know how many people in the world have done that. They've seen an actress playing cricket getting injured on the face. They've been there, done that. They've played with the kids' cricket set and finally figured out what a real cricket ball looks like. So, been there, done that. Thank you so much for being here, Ragnar and Stefán. It was lovely having you, and we hope to have you on our stage event as soon as this COVID situation subsides and you can travel to India. We'd love to have you guys over like it was a year ago and have you talk some more and tell us some more stories when you're here next. Thank you. Have a nice evening, gentlemen. Lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Bye.